Grace and peace, everybody. Happy Lord's Day Eve to everyone. Happy Saturday. Y'all, I told you, I knew it, that National YSL Motion Response Day would have holdover. And boy, does it have holdover. So let's get at it. Let's get talking about it on today. Real quick, I don't know how many of you all like action movies. Okay. And I think most people are familiar with the genre of action movie where you have a retired police officer or ex-military, and they're just trying to enjoy retirement. They're just out there trying to do their life, living their life, but something pulls them back into the game. Think about Denzel Washington in The Equalizer or Taken or any of those movies like that. I really am thinking about that Clint Eastwood one particularly, where they're just minding their business, doing life, not bothering anybody, not causing no trouble. But the game calls them back in. The game pulls them back in, and they got to go for one more ride, one more fight. Well, imagine, if you will, that whomever it is, that actor that's playing that role, they get in for one more fight and they get their butts whooped. Okay. They get trounced. Okay. That's what we're about to watch and read on today. We're not watching some overcoming great odds. We're watching somebody stumble and fumble. And my goodness, in the morning, you almost feel bad at one point. You're kind of like, can we just call in some reinforcements? Can we get G.I. Joe and the rest of the team? Somebody come and help. This is getting really bad. What am I talking about today? Everybody, you know, of course, yesterday was YSL Motion Response Day. All these motions were coming in. And we were speculating, and somebody even asked, I wonder if Fani Willis is going to say anything. And well, why would you call Fani Willis? Because she's like the big dog on the sitting on the porch, and the big dog comes in, things are about to change. When the big dog comes in, things are going to get made right. That's what most of us are kind of thinking. Somebody asked that, and I'm like, I don't know if Fani's going to reply. You know, seem like ADA Love and ADA Hylton have this moving in the direction as best they can. Well, I was wrong. Today, ADA Fani Willis got off the porch, and y'all, I'm sorry. This is not good. This is not good at all. So let me bring it in. Let's go. So there are going to be some other ones, I'm sure. I just want to look at this one and shout out to the Honorable Thugger Daily, who's a Twitter account that everybody follows. If you're not following Thugger Daily, what's wrong with you? Please go follow Thugger Daily. And again, another shout out to the honorable, notable Black law student who's been helping me with this significantly. Fantastic content creators. They're very, very helpful. And I want to say thank you to both of them for helping me with this, because they've really helped me shine in this regard. They've been great, very helpful and such like that. So shout out again to Thugger Daily. Shout out to the honorable Thugger Daily and the honorable Black law student. And of course, there's countless others as well. But I told them I would shout them out in here as early as I could. So shout out to them. All right. So now we all read where the motion where the defense team for Young Thug asked Brian Steele, that ADA Love and ADA Hylton be disqualified from participating in the furtherance of this trial. If this trial goes on, they need to get somebody else in here. And because of the ex parte. I'm sorry. I'm going to read it over. I want you, I don't want to sullen it too much. I know I already gave you my opinion on it, but I want you to just listen to this. And I want to hear what your thoughts are pertaining to this. Do you feel like she's making a cogent case? You know where? In the Superior Court of Fulton County, Georgia, state of Georgia versus Jeffrey Williams. We know him to be the now infamous Young Thug. All right. Here it comes. The state's response to defendant's motion to disqualify the lead prosecutors. I'm actually I'm embarrassed for her. I'm a Fani Willis fan or anything of that nature, but I'm embarrassed because this is such a not a good argument. But let us go. You'll see in a moment. The state of Georgia, by and through Fani T. Willis, District Attorney of Atlanta Judicial Circuit, hereby responds in opposition to defendant Jeffrey Williams' motion to disqualify the lead prosecutors, Chief Deputy DA Adrian Love, CDDA Love, and Deputy District Attorney Simone Hylton, DDA. Woo. We got a lot of A's and B's and C's and D's up in here. Filed on July 10th. I want to ask you while we're going through this, why do you think she had to come in and respond? Why? Now, I was kind of thinking initially when I read this, okay, well, Fani Willis is responding because ADA Hylton and CCDA Love and DDA Hylton are the ones that are being asked to be disqualified. So maybe she's stepping in to like be a neutral party, so to speak, or somebody else that's not the offending parties. I thought that, and I do think that there's probably a good reason for it. However, I'm starting to think that Fani Willis bogarted herself in here and said, look, y'all done messed this thing up. Y'all done totally fumbled this game. I need to get in here and fix this. I know somebody's not going to like this, so please make sure you comment down below, dearwokec@gmail.com. I really think Fani Willis is trying to use her black girl magic in here. We know that Reese Whitaker is a white woman here in the South, and CCDA Love and DDA Hylton are black women, but they're not utilizing the black girl magic motif in the way that needs to be used to bully Reese Whitaker to surrender to their whims, which is what I believe they did to Glanville. Catch me outside if you disagree. I believe that's what they did to Glanville. But I think Fani's like, look, I need to come in here and let me show you my female machismo so that you know how to do this more effectively. You gotta throw some elbows in here when you get in the paint. Let me continue. And on July 18th, 2024, despite the extraordinary nature of the request to disqualify the lead prosecutors in this case, defendant cites no facts and no law that authorized this honorable court to disqualify CCDA Love and DA Hylton. That's actually not true. Brian Steele does list quite a bit of law. Now, whether or not you agree with it, that's a case for another discussion, but it's there. And in a moment, it is funny that she talks about somebody citing law. Wait till you hear the law that she cites. Because if you remember and paid attention when we read through Brian Steele's complaint, why did Brian Steele want ADA Love? Why did Brian Steele want CCDA Love and DA Hylton removed? It was because they participated in the ex parte meeting. It had nothing to do with anything else. There were other things that were discussed, other things that were shared, but the issue at hand for why Brian Steele wrote it was because of the ex parte meeting. Wait till you hear why Fani Willis thinks that they wanted them disqualified. Continue, Jason. Deny the defendant's motion to disqualify the lead prosecutors in support of this response. In opposition to defendant's motions to disqualify, the state shows this honorable court the following: where defendant seeks to examine the prosecutors on matters concerning which there are other sources of evidence available to defendant, the laws of Georgia and the facts of the case mandate that the court's denial of the defendant's motions to disqualify. So remember, Brian Steele said he's going to call CCDA Love and DDA Hylton as witnesses. So she's saying, well, hey, you don't need to do that because there's other ways for you to get the information. Wait till you hear what she says. In support of this motion to disqualify the lead prosecutors, defendant asserts that the lawyer Love and lawyer Hylton have made themselves critical witnesses in this case. When CDDA Love engaged in the text messages with a witness, and when CDDA Love and DDA Hylton participated in a hearing in chambers with a witness and his lawyer, full stop. It wasn't just a hearing. It was ex parte. That is very, Very key. She didn't just excuse, she reclassified what actually happened. It wasn't just that they had a meeting or even a hearing. It was a true ex parte where one part of the party was completely removed from the equation wrongfully. That is the problem. Now, you can have ex parte meetings. We've already discussed those. There are reasons why. This case with Woody was never one of those. Continue, Jason, with the witness and his lawyer. Regarding contempt proceedings against a witness, defendant cites no legal authority in support of his position. That is not true. Defendant, however, bears the heavy burden of proving that disqualification of the lead prosecutors in this case is warranted. And she cites a couple cases instructing that it is the burden of the party seeking to disqualify counsel to prove the extraordinary remedy of disqualification is warranted, and that is Lewis versus State. Defendant does not even attempt to meet this burden. Instead, he rests his pleadings on legally and factually unsupported assertions. All right. I'm just going to leave this next one. I'm just going to let it sit there for a second. Read the title. Read the title. The hearing in chambers was proper. In the chat, if you could please let me know, was the hearing in chambers, aka the ex parte meeting? Again, she calls it something different. It wasn't just a hearing, because you could have a hearing with both parties. This was an ex parte with one party. So was that proper? I think we all know that it wasn't proper, because when it was called on the carpet, now Judge Cross said that it could be considered proper. Judge Glanville said that it was proper, but he was supposed to recuse himself because of this. So it can't be proper. But let's continue. Defendant asserts without support that CDDA Love and DDA Hylton are disqualified as prosecutors in this case because they attended a hearing. No, it was not a hearing in chambers. Call it what it was, Fani. It was an ex parte meeting. It was not just a hearing. It was not just a meeting at the water cooler. It was not. It was a true bona fide, unequivocal, you haven't challenged it and you never will, ex parte meeting that he believes himself entitled to have attended. Why would he not be entitled to attend? Which I think should be a very big question that Brian Steele asked back, but I don't think this case is going to go anywhere. Let's go. Defendant argues that the lead prosecutors in attendance at the hearing are disqualified under Georgia Rule of Professional Conduct 3.7 from further prosecuting the case because defendant now needs to examine them about the hearing and what took place. Defendant's arguments are not grounded in law. Just stop for a second and think. They now have new evidence, that being the internal workings of the ex parte meeting, Love and Hylton, as well as Woody and Glanville. They have new information that wasn't available to anybody prior to them having that meeting. So why would Brian Steele not want to ask them questions about it? Like, I would love for him to ask them, have y'all had these before? Is this your first time doing this? Like, I think those are very key, important questions to ask. But why would she try to couch it as if the ex parte meeting was proper? And dare I even say that if it wasn't proper, she's going to say in a moment, even if it wasn't proper, well, you got the transcript. So you don't need to interview, ask questions of, call as a witness Love and Hylton and Glanville, because you got the transcripts and that's enough. Transcripts are good enough. This is crazy. Again, I'm sorry. They called her off the porch. She should have stayed. All right. The hearing in chambers, again, ex parte, was about an ongoing contempt proceedings. I want to stop for a second. Remember, I asked you, why did they have the ex parte? What was the issue that Brian Steele pointed out in the ex parte meeting? Okay. Was it because the state offered Woody use immunity? Was that why Brian Steele said that the ex parte meeting was wrong? Is that why? Chat, let me know real quick. Was that why the state said, the defense said this was improper because the state offered use immunity. Is that why? No, it's not. Watch what she says. And if you read the case that she's pointing out, it actually says this. This is embarrassing. Watch this. The hearing in chambers was about the ongoing contempt proceedings against a witness who, upon motion of the state, had been compelled to testify but refused to do so. I agree. That's true. Okay. And then she cites the ex parte. Now she calls it ex parte because you can't change that in the definition. So that's what it's called. The file is called. So she can't change that. The hearing was proper. That's what she says. King versus state. Listen to what King versus state says. Ruling King versus state, ruling where King had complained that the trial court acted improperly by conducting a brief hearing outside the presence concerning the state's request for an order compelling a witness to testify in King's trial, confirmed that the use of derivative use of immunity that would apply to that compelled testimony. The hearing appears not to have been a part of the proceedings against King. Was the issue that they were worried about the use immunity? Was that what Brian Steele's complaint was? No, it wasn't. It was the fact that they had a meeting and he wasn't invited to it. It was the ex parte meeting, not the actual. I mean, though he does later on point out many problems with what is said in the ex parte meeting, but the ex parte meeting was wrong. It is very much akin to saying your parents leave for the weekend and you have a party. Well, having the party is wrong. Somebody stealing your dad's car, somebody breaking the bathtub, and somebody setting your dog on fire are all parts of what? You having a party when you weren't supposed to have a party, when your parents are gone. It's really that simple. But it's almost akin, either A, Fani Willis doesn't know this, or B, she's trying to pull some black girl magic, hooju mooju, in order to get Judge Whitaker to side with her shenanigans. Continue. The state Supreme Court pointedly recognized King under circumstances closely resemble those here. While King might have preferred that a key witness not be ordered to testify truthfully in trial, there's nothing in Georgia law that would have permitted him to object to the state's request for the order compelling the witness to testify in King's trial, or that would suggest that King's rights were the subject matter under consideration. And again, we talked about this before, is not just what they did. Now, again, I do think that they twisted Woody's arm. I think we all heard that. But beyond apart from that is the fact that you were meeting in the first place. It had nothing to do with use immunity. Why are you even bringing that up, Fani? Let us continue. On the contrary, the trial court was obliged to consider whether the testimony was necessary to the public interest, a matter which King had no standing to address. That's not what we were asking. They were asking, why are you having a meeting without the other party? You did not follow through on reasons why to have a meeting without the other party. Let's continue. Any alleged bias of the witness part was the proper subject of cross-examination. No grounds for denying the state's request to the order. And continue on down here to the bottom. Likewise, Allen and State of Georgia. The Georgia Court of Appeals cited in King in support of its finding that the defendant had no standing to contest the grant of use immunity to a witness. Who's arguing that? Did anybody argue that the state could not offer use immunity to Woody? I don't remember anybody arguing that. Why are you bringing that up, Fani? I'm just saying. It's getting a little bit bad here. It's getting real desperate here. Under oath, King and Allen on June 10th, 2024, in chambers hearing was proper. Why does she keep calling it in chamber? Why don't you just call it what it was? Because this is what it's titled. Fani, the transcript says that it's an ex parte hearing. Maybe you should call it that. Maybe you should call it ex parte. Maybe you call it ex parte hearing in chambers. But you just call it hearing. Let us continue. Defendant had no standing to contest the hearing or to participate in it. Surely defendant does not expect that a proper hearing, which he had no standing in contest or to participate in, now somehow provides the defendant the right to disqualification of the lead prosecutors who took part in the hearing. Such a proposition makes no sense. Now we can talk about what was actually done in the meeting, the bad counsel. We can talk about the threatening that you're going to keep them in jail for until you get finished. There's a lot of things that you can talk about that are, again, part of you had the party and now all these other things happened. So the issue at hand, the disqualification issue, is you had a party or you were part of the ex parte. It's really that easy. It's not difficult. B, disqualification and other prosecutors would constitute an abuse of the honorable court's discretion where other sources of evidence about what happened in the hearing are available to defendant and obviate any need for defendant or for either prosecutor's testimonies. So this is basically saying, hey, there's a transcript. You don't need Love and Hylton to be on the stand. You don't need Glanville to be on the stand. You got the transcript. Now, whether or not the transcript is whole and complete is beside the point. The fact that you were in the meeting is the problem. She's giving desperation. Let's go. Even if the hearing had not been proper, or even bigger hurdle, barring disqualification of the prosecutors, is the availability of the defendant and other sources evidence of what happened during the hearing. So just because there's notes, just because there's a transcript, it doesn't matter that you got the live human being sitting right there. But just think about it. You're a juror. You've been out of the mix for better than a month and a half almost, right? You come back in and you hear about ADA Love and ADA Hylton doing something in some kind of ex-party thing, and Brian Steele is reading about it loud in transcripts and you know that it's them right there in front of you. And you're like, well, what did they do? You're going to start looking at them sideways anyway, because you're wondering, like, well, what did they do wrong? They met with Woody and they did something with Woody. This is craziness. This is reeking of desperation. But let us finish up. With some expectations, Rule 3.7 of the Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Georgia provides that lawyers shall not act as advocates at a trial in which the lawyer is likely to be a necessary witness. Isn't that exactly what Brian Steele said about Love and Hylton? They are now witnesses because they were in the meeting. You don't like it, that's okay. You don't approve of it, that's up to you. But it doesn't change the fact that it's real. They were in the meeting. However, the party moving to disqualification of the lawyer under Rule 7 has the burden of showing that the lawyer is likely to be a necessary witness. They are, by demonstrating that the lawyer's testimony is relevant to the disputed material questions in fact, and that there is no other evidence available to prove those facts. Everybody I've talked to, shout out again to Black law student, this right here is not necessarily, just because there's a transcript doesn't mean that a transcript supersedes a living, breathing human that could testify. Well, sure, you have transcripts, kind of like with the whole Woody interrogation videos. Sure, you have the videos, but you could just talk to the human. The exact same thing. Let's keep going. Claw versus Ricardo, citation footnote omitted. Defendant cannot meet the burden. The hearing in chambers was taken down by the court reporter and transcribed. All parties now have the transcript of the hearing in chambers. The transcript clearly identifies those who were present, and that it includes sheriff deputies, investigators from the district attorney's office, the witness currently on the stand, and the witness's attorney. Indeed, defendant will get to cross-examine the witness at issue himself. But that doesn't change the fact that he wants to ask the other people who were in there about what happened in there. So please understand the transcript, again, though I think the transcripts were probably slightly redacted, there are things in there that are not in the transcript. There's small things that are not a part of the transcript, whether it be somebody coughed or somebody sat back down, somebody walked out, came back in. There's small things that are not a part of that transcript. So are there other things that are not a part of that transcript? The transcript cannot be relied on when you actually have a living, breathing human who can literally answer your questions. Continue. The practice of trial attorneys testifying is not approved by the courts except where necessary by the circumstances of the case. In his Timberlake and State, the advocate as a witness poses innumerable threats to the integrity of the reliability of the judicial process. But who did that though? Who did that? Was it the prosecutors that did that? I'm sorry, the defense that did that? Or was it the state? Courts have properly refused to permit a prosecutor to being called as a defense witness unless there is a compelling need. But there is, because of the ex parte. We want to know who threw the party, who called the party, who sent out the invitations, who ordered the contraband. We need to know who did that. Names must be named. Trial courts are generally held to have discretion on whether to allow a party to call opposing counsel as witness on the view that the attempting to call opposing counsel to establish some fact that can readily be proved in a different manner should be discouraged. But you can't. Like, for example, who called the ex parte meeting? I believe it was ADA Love. So therein is kind of a problem there. Who was in the meeting? Why was Hylton not in there in the beginning? There's a lot of things. Have y'all had these meetings before? There's a lot of questions that the transcripts are not able to answer. So therefore, the live living human should probably be the one that answers it. Just something to think about. I know it's crazy. It's crazy. Goodwin versus the state. There are no compelling need for the lead prosecutors to testify, especially given that there are ample other sources of information to establish what occurred in the hearing in chambers. But it doesn't, though. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And therein is the desperation. Therein is the clinging to the last little vestiges of this case. You had to call in the big dogs to answer this, to reply to this, and they're getting mocked. This is not a good look. Disqualification of Prosecutor Love based on exchange of text messages with a witness also would constitute an abuse of this honorable court's discretion, where other sources of evidence about the text messages are available to defendant and obviate any need for defendant and of CDDA Love's testimony. I think, no, I don't. Just because you try to put all the weight on the text messages, which, by the way, is problematic. Why are you texting them? But you're putting all the weight on the text messages. But please understand, it's the ex parte meeting that is the problem. And so now she's trying to get you to look in a different direction. With ample sources of evidence about the text messages being available to defendant, most notably the witness herself, whom defendant already has examined at trial, defendant asserts, notable the witness herself. Who's she talking about? With ample sources of evidence about the text messages being available to defendant, most notably the witness herself. Who's the herself? Wasn't the witness Woody? Like, who are we talking about? Y'all, I hope she didn't make a typing error here. I hope she didn't do that. Because everybody else is a male. The only women involved in this would have been the clerk, Kayla Bumpus, Love, and Hylton. Who is the woman? Herself. Y'all, that's wild. She didn't do that. She did not make that mistake. I can't believe that. I don't know. I gotta ask. I don't know who she's talking about. Whom defendant has examined at trial. Who is this defendant? Who's this witness that he's talking to? Defendant asserts that the text messages also require his examination of CDDA Love. I don't get it. I don't get who he's. Maybe I'm missing something. Is he talking about Hylton? I thought Hylton said that she texted. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Hylton. Maybe it was Love. I don't know. The law contradicts defendant's assertions, noting that speculation as to the content of an opposing counsel's testimony could not support a disqualification order. The Georgia Court of Appeals held in Schaaf versus State at 640-642. that the trial court abuse of discretion when in disqualification trial counsel on the basis that the trial counselor's testimony was necessary, where the victim made a statement in his presence, but the statement had also been overheard by the victim's mother and by trial counsel's assistant, who could testify to the circumstances surrounding the child's statement. Although the Schaaf court agreed with the trial court's concern that the trial counsel's testimony would be relevant to the jury for determining weight and credibility to assign the child's videotape recantation and possibly the preferred method. The problem is they're talking to adults. They're talking to the mother. They're talking to the child. They're talking to the counsel's assistant. Those are humans. They're not looking at transcripts. So again, this is not a good look. Trial court's testimony was not necessary to prove any fact related to the video or the circumstances surrounding the video. This court explained that each speculation as to the content of an opposing counsel's testimony could not support a disqualification order. Otherwise, any party could successfully move to disqualify an opposing attorney by simply averring that the opposing attorney might possess information that is damaging to the attorney-client's case. I don't think that's what they're saying. They're not saying that it's possible. They're saying that it is. So it's not just like, hey, maybe, possibly. Somebody might, could, maybe, coulda. No, they're talking about that it is. There's a big difference. But I digress. And therefore, the attorney is likely to be a necessary witness in the moving party's case. To approve of such a tactic would be opening door to a blatant misuse of the rule that already has great potential for abuse. Got it. And I disagree. The defendant proffers no information he seeks to gain from CDDA Love that he cannot quite readily get has already gotten from another source. Disqualification of the lead prosecutor under these circumstances would constitute an abuse of the honorable court's discretion. I disagree, because there's far more questions that need to be asked. Example, what did you mean by you told Woody that you would keep him in there until all 12 defendants had been tried? How long were you thinking about keeping him in contempt? How many times have you had these ex parte meetings before? Who called the ex parte meeting? Those are some very valid questions that I'm sorry. I think that there's value in asking that and value in getting the answers. Defendant's reference to the former trial judge. Okay. For some reason or another, Fani is about to now try to cut off at the pass the idea that Glanville needs to be a witness. Not only did she just spill a lot of ink trying to defend Love and Hylton, but now she's actually trying to defend Glanville. I have no idea why. Although it is not necessary. Oh, let me finish. Defendant's reference to a former trial judge has no bearing in defendant's motion to disqualify. Although it is not necessary for the present motion, Williams asserts that he wants to call as a witness the chief judge, who until recently presided over the trial. The state submits the chief judge is not necessary witness for the same reason that lead prosecutors are not necessary witnesses. Moreover, I disagree 100%. Glanville, who called the ex parte meeting? That would be a great question to ask right off the bat. How many of these ex parte meetings, star chamber meetings, do you have on a regular basis? Those are some good questions to ask. When they said that Woody could use immunity and ADA Hylton misrepresented that, why did you not correct her? Matter of fact, why are you allowing them to coerce a witness in your presence? These are some good questions to ask. Although the defendant has not requested the permission to do that. Wait, did I miss it? Oh, sorry. Moreover, while at no point did the chief judge comment on the evidence before this jury, it appears defendant's primary purpose in calling the chief judge would be to ask him to do just that. Although defendant has not requested permission to do that yet, the state submits the court shouldn't deny such request when and if it is made. So she's trying to cut him off at the pass. Why is she trying to cut him off at the pass? Why is Fani Willis, again, the big dog, why is she coming off the porch to defend somebody who's not in a fight? Why is she doing that? That should cause you to pause and think, oh, why is it? And being the fact that this entire case has been such a big steaming pile for so long, why is it that Love and Hylton have kind of stepped into the shadows and allowed Fani to step in and fight for her, for them? I think it's because she realizes that, again, her two marquee cases are taking on water. The lower decks are flooding. And at this point, it is very probable that she's going to lose both of these cases. And she made so much hay. She made so much noise about these cases. And now for it to be very possible that these cases are going to go to either a mistrial with prejudice, a mistrial, bond, she's going to lose something. And then we're not even talking about the interference case. So she's going to lose something on this one wholesale. She's going to lose some way, shape, or form. They're going to get on bond. This is going to go to mistrial. It's going to go to mistrial with prejudice. She's going to take an L some way, shape, or form. And she's just trying to shape the L. It's going to be a cursive L, or she's going to be able to spell Lululemon when this thing is over with, because that's what's more likely going to happen. There is no evidence to authorize disqualification of the lead prosecutors under the two only generally recognized grounds for disqualification of a prosecutor in Georgia: conflict of interest. Am I to believe? Got to take my glasses off here. Am I to believe that they don't have a conflict of interest when you bring a witness into Star Chambers and you hoist his arm behind his back and say, I'm going to keep you like this until I get done? That's not a conflict of interest. That's not bully tactics. That's not anything of that man. Okay. If that's what you want me to believe, I believe it. Conflict of interest and forensic misconduct. And defendant does not even purport to request relief on these grounds. Okay. If this is, again, I don't know if Young Thug did what they're being accused of. I don't know if YSL is the grimiest people on the planet. What I do know, however, if the state had a good case, it would be a clean case. It would be a case that didn't have all of these problems. At this point in the game, because of their inability to properly prosecute this case, they've got people now rooting against them. Again, Young Thug could be guilty. Maybe he is guilty. I don't know. And guess what? We probably will never know, because they've done such a poor job of prosecuting this case. So instead of all of this shenanigans and hijinks, maybe they should have tried to prosecute it properly. But let's finish up. Defendant does not allege, nor does there exist evidence in this case suggesting that either prosecutor in this case should be disqualified under the two generally recognized grounds for disqualification of a prosecutor in Georgia. An actual conflict of interest exists. Okay. I mean, okay, fine. If you want to tell me that that's not a conflict of interest, okay. All right. If that's what it takes, that's fine. A prosecutor has engaged in forensic misconduct. Okay. Because it is proper to do what y'all did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the proper way to do it. Maybe it does make sense. Maybe it is the right way to do, where you bring a witness in and you threaten, you tell them, hey, I can keep you in jail, in Fulton County Jail, for an indefinite amount of time. Maybe that's right. I don't know. Hey, as long as you don't get up there and lie, you can say whatever you want to say. Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe that's not wrong. By God's grace, I'll never have to be on that side of the legal system to know that or even hear this. But if that's not wrong, then okay, Fani. If that's okay. In McGlynn versus State, the Georgia Court of Appeals recognized that a trial court considering a defendant's motion to disqualify an elected district attorney or her staff based on alleged misconduct must hold those who allege such misconduct to a high standard of proof. So if Brian Steele wants to disqualify her, he has to hold her up to a high standard of proof. I mean, he's at a high standard of proof. Got you. Even assuming, for the sake of argument, that the allegations set forth in the defendant's motion were true. Those allegations fail to meet the high standard required to disqualify two lead prosecutors from an ongoing and well-advanced criminal case. If this is well advanced, I'd hate to see what she thinks is a stumbling and fumbling mess. If this is well advanced, I have no idea. In the middle of a trial, the extraordinary relief defendant Williams seeks is simply unwarranted, and his motion should be denied without any further proceedings. And we'll go to the conclusion. I really believe, I want to hear what y'all think, by the way. Why do you think Fani Willis wrote this? Because ADA Love has written the other motions. I'm sorry, the other responses. Why did she not write it? Why did Hylton not write it? Why did Fani write this? I just want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think that do you think they just called in the big dogs? It's like John Rambo coming out of retirement to one last ride? Or what do you think? Why do you think she decided to write this when somebody else could have wrote it? Just wondering. For the reasons stated above, it would be egregious abuse of the Honorable Court's discretion to disqualify CDDA Love and DA Hylton based solely on the demeanous assertions advanced by defendant's motion, especially where there is no evidence of any ground authorizing either prosecutor's disqualification. This court should not abuse its discretion by disqualifying the prosecutors, especially where the June 10th, 2024 hearing about which defendants incessantly complains was proper. I don't know why she went over here and started using 37 font out of the blue. She's saying that the ex parte hearing was proper. Like, why are you using this big old 37 font? Great day. And where there are available to the defendant other sources of information about which he claims he needs to examine CDDA Love and DA Hylton at trial. Defendant's efforts to forestall the conclusion of the longest trial in Georgia history by seeking to disqualify the lead prosecutors should be immediately stopped. This honorable court should deny defendant's motion to disqualify the lead prosecutors in this case on the pleadings alone. Respectfully submitted, Fani T. Willis. This week is going to be crazy. I think it's Tuesday is when everything gets back in order. Let me tell you right now. Let me tell you something. Tuesday is going to be bananas. Okay. Tuesday is going to be bananas. I'm telling you right now, go and get your bandwidth up. Make sure your bandwidth is up to snuff and all that kind of stuff. It is going to be amazing. I don't think Fani Willis is going to show up in court, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If she shows up in court, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like a reverse Ashley Merchant when Ashley Merchant walked in on Glanville. This is going to be bananas. Let me find that clip. This is going to be crazy. Unequivocally insane. But I do want to know, I just want to hear in the chat, why do you think Fani Willis wrote this? Why? Do you think she's trying to throw her name around? She's trying to, again, big dog coming off the porch. You've been picking on the little dogs for a while. You've been picking on the pups. Let me run out here and show you how it's done. Do you think that's why she did it? Do you think she told Love and Hylton, look, y'all done messed this thing up. Y'all done drove us into an iceberg. Let me get over here and fix this, or allegedly fix this. Why do you think she's doing this? Because it just, to me, she didn't need to. Somebody else could have finished this, but why did she do it? What do you think? All right. My timing isn't impeccable. I think this is a good point. Let's see. Sorry about that. Fani's a bully and a reckless demon. She's definitely, I'm sorry. I think she is going to come in. I think she's going to be there on Tuesday. let me say it like this: someday this week, I'm gonna broaden my scope. Someday this week, pure intimidation. I agree. She's literally trying to hold that her lies, women manipulate people to get these people incarcerated for the rest of their lives. I mean, really. What's black? Hey, shout out to Black Law Student. I think on Tuesday, she's going to appoint Nathan Wade. Hey, wait. Is that the craziest thing we've heard? Is that the craziest thing we've heard? It sure and definitely is not. Nope. Hylton and Love are possible. I mean, yeah, I'm like, they were there. Hey, shout out, by the way. Shout out to Kat Not Williams. I'm sorry. I saw Kat Not Williams in the chat, and I do got to make sure I give her a shout out. Man, this is a fantastic content creator. Look, LawTube would be a different game if it wasn't for Kat Not Williams. If you're not already following her, please jump over after this video. Jump over to her channel and check out what she's doing. I believe she's also done this motion, but she does a fantastic job of addressing these motions and all of the shenanigans and making it very easy for pre-K law students like myself to understand. Shout out to Kat Not Williams. Thank you so much for stopping by. I love it. Thank you. Yo, if this right here, if this happens, y'all, if this happens, I think we should all, well, no, Nathan doesn't work for Fulton County. There you go. He was a contractor, so he can't do that. I hope not. I hope not. Good gracious, that would be terrible. Nathan Wade as CDDA and Terrence Bradley as DDA for YSL. Tell me something crazier, right? Tell me something more insane. Okay. I guess Detective Woody, Detective Copeland. That'd probably be the crazier thing. He could be a freelance contractor. I don't think I feel comfortable. Again, I'm a pre-K law student. I feel comfortable in saying that's not going to happen. But it could. Oh my gosh, that would be horrible. That would be absolutely horrible. Okay, let's keep this going. All right, let's see. No, good conversation going on in the chat. I always love it. What does he say? Yes, she can appoint a special. For real? Oh my gosh. Well, let's just. She could? Are you for real? Boy, you better stop. Got me over drinking. No way. I would hope. Well, okay, let's like this. She could select a special prosecutor. Yes. She would be the biggest. She would be that would be the dumbest move possible to let it be Nathan Wade. What does Erica say? Erica says this case is a train wreck. So she's trying to hope to take back the case and keep it from continuing to go off the track even more. I don't know how it's possible. Once the train starts, once the engine is off the track, it's a wrap. And the engine is well off the track. Yeah. Responding to the case is basically her way of putting her stamp on her opinion, hoping that the judge will believe what she's saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's some shenanigans, there's some black girl magic going on there. Like, these are not the droids that you're looking for. That's my opinion. Because you ain't been commenting. You ain't been commenting until it is now the 3 lower decks are flooded. Okay, let's just let it go. The ship is lost. I'm sorry. Okay, I see this comment about the a letter recommendation for a gang member. If y'all have that, send it to me. Please send it to me. I will definitely look at it for sure. And what does it say? She has to get a hold of the case. To me, that ship has already sailed. That bell is already rung. She should have got a hold of this case way earlier. Way earlier. I'm sorry. This case has been out of control for months. This is just now. 3 and 4 and 8 train cars have flipped off the track, but this thing was off the rails a long time ago. I mean, exactly. We are the Titanic This case is literally 2024 version of the Titanic. I mean, yeah, they can make a movie of this and call it Titanic 2. I mean, that's literally where we are right now. You got the forbidden love affair, the not paying attention, and lo and behold, yeah, they can go on to make a Tubi movie out of it or something. Would Fani be willing? Would Fani be trying to use her influence if she believed that she was winning this case? Absolutely. That's a fantabulous question. We watch YouTube. Thank you so much. We watch YouTube. Would she be doing this if she thought she was winning? If truly Brian Steele's argumentation was garbage, let's say it was garbage, it's trash, would she be writing in order to deflect that? No. Yeah, she allowed Glanville and Love to destroy this case if there ever was any evidence, right? And I'm encouraging people, please go back and listen to the opening statement from DA Love. Just go back and listen to it. I'm not going to sell on it. I'm not going to tell you anything. Just go back and listen to it. In light of the fact that the Olympics are going on right now, I think you'll see that there's a lot of gymnastics happening there. I just want you to listen to the opening statement from DA Love. Yeah, it sounds like undue influence. Like, why would you, again, like if your dad was the principal of the school, like this is a train wreck. Let me tell you right now, if you have an administrator's child in your classroom, it's the worst thing in the world. It's the worst experience because you're always, and heavens forbid, you actually have your principal's child in class. By God's grace, I've only had a few administrators. I did have my pastor's daughter in my second grade class. That was kind of wild. So my pastor's daughter and my daughter were in second grade at the same time. And I had his daughter in my second grade class. That was kind of crazy. But you don't want to have your administrator's child in your class, because whenever they do something wrong, you got to call your principal to say, little Johnny, little Sally is not following instructions. Little Johnny, little Sally didn't turn in something. It's the worst experience in the world. It is the worst experience in the world. And when the kid knows that they can use that trump card and say, well, my dad said I didn't have to do this. My mom said we had a school board meeting and we were late. My mom took it. When they start doing that, it's the worst. You don't want that. You don't want that. And I think this is what she's doing. I think she's introducing her own influence into the discussion. Not saying Love and Hylton asked her to, but I think she's kind of bullying herself in there. Let me come here. Let me show you who I am. This is a good question, Erica. Is there personal interest why she hates Young Thug so badly, but why Lucci got off? Yikes. That's another show. That's another show. What's the craziest thing a second grader ever told you about their parents? I got to think about that. Look, I was going to write a book while I was teaching. I said, man, I could write a book about some of the crazy things. And please understand, not all of them are like salacious and bananas, but there's some crazy stuff. I have to think about that one though. We watch YouTube. Can you please allow me some time to process that one and think? Because I need to think. Like I got to pull up my old mind. I got to get some cobwebs off some old files in my mind. But I'll have one or two of them. I'm sure I have some. I think it's a great question, a great point right here from my 4 girls. You got 4 daughters? God bless you. God bless you. The world is watching, and the judge is not going to let them make her look like a fool. Shout out to Judge Whitaker. Shout out to Judge Whitaker. I agree. Like don't get bullied. Do not get bullied. And she seems like she's a level-headed person. So, I mean, I've seen some of the motions. I think some of them are probably a little bit more right than wrong. I'm not saying everything coming from the state is wrong. So I think she's going to deal with them properly. But I think this one is going to be on the docket first thing first on Tuesday, the disqualification of Love and Hylton. And I'm not 100% certain that she's made a good case against it. I'm not convinced at all. What's she say? What does black law student say? She's using these black men to test her RICO strength. Man, but the problem is these gentlemen's lives are hanging in the balance. And again, I would the way they're using RICO can be used any kind of way. I mean, please understand, this is not just the way they're using it. You could say a lot of things are RICO using this broad definition that she's using. And it's just sad to see that these men are fighting for their lives, having to pay to keep themselves basically out of jail, or well, I mean, keep this going for something that is this crazy. I'm sorry. Yo, what's going on, Black Men's Beard? Shout out to him. Thank you so much. This is actually Evan Alexander, by the way, y'all. So thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Black Men's Beard. Absolutely. I thank you. Am I doing okay? Am I doing all right? Am I doing all right? I'm trying my best. Trying my best. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the very gracious, very kind, supportive super chat. Thank you. Okay, wait, did I miss something? I feel like I might have missed a slight comment right here. She's using her black, right. Okay, there we go. I did see that. Sorry. Okay. Oh, this is what you're talking about. How do you test the strength of a RICO? I'm barely understanding what RICO is. Okay. I see the comment right here where black law student says she's tested her RICO strength. If you could imagine, this is a really bad example, but I'm just trying to give you an example. If you could imagine putting your arms around a bunch of pillows, okay, and the more pillows you can squeeze in there, the better, right? You're eventually, if you're trying to reach your arms around something really, really big, your grip is going to lose, right? And you might have to get rid of a pillow or 2 or 5 in order to get your arms around them, and then that way carry them wherever you need to go. In my opinion, RICO is like putting your arms around a lot of people, putting crime link around all these people. Now, some of them are big pillows, some of them are throw pillows, some of them are pillows that are on your couch that nobody ever uses, but all of them are being included in this. And some of them are like, yo, I didn't do anything. I want to get out of here. What do you want me to say? I'll plead to get out of this loop because you didn't put me in this loop with everybody, and I'm not a criminal. And so RICO really you're assuming that everybody who's a pillow or everybody in this regard as a part of this organization or this group or can be associated with this group is a criminal. And so was racketeering and influence of corrupt organizations. So that's what they're doing. So when they did the Atlanta cheating scandal, they put their arms around 170 teachers and squeezed them together. And some of those teachers said, yo, no ma'am, I'm out of here. What I need to do, I need to retire. You want my teaching certificate? I'm out of here. Bye. And they took it. Some of them stayed to the very end, and some even still went to trial and there were hearings recently, like a month ago, and that was almost 10 years ago, that trial. So I think what black law student is saying here is when he says testing the strength of her RICO strength is whether or not she has the ability to keep all this together. And I think, in my opinion, the problem with RICO is that you have so many people together and so many their affiliations are triaged. So you got some that are probably the worst of the worst, all the way down to the guy that just shines people's shoes, but you've included all of them in this. Well, eventually they're going to start pulling out. And remember that big loop example. If you pull out enough pillows, your loop is going to, your grip is going to get bigger, but you're not going to have as many people in there. And so that's why you see people trying to get severed and trying to reduce the RICO down to something. And there's 28 people at one time. Now there's only 6. So that's my understanding of what I believe black law student is saying here about testing the strength of RICO. By the way, again, just last thing, this is Evan Alexander. I mentioned before, this is the beard care product brand that I actually use. We'll turn this into an ad. Okay. So this is the beard care brand that I actually use. I need to put my link in the chat because I actually have a link for them And I forgot about that. I wasn't ready. But guess what? Transplanted Texan was ready. There's my link. Thank you so much, Transplanted Texan. I appreciate you. So if you want to get your beard on point, even though I kind of look like a little bit of John the Baptist because I didn't get to the barber yesterday, check out what they're doing over there at Black Men Beard. Evan Alexander, thank you so much. I guess I'll call you the sponsor of the show for the day. How about that? All right. Pillow theory. I was trying to think of a better example, man. I was trying to get a good example. Like you got to get your arms around something. You're trying to get your arms around it. And at the current moment, you can't get your arms around it fully. And so you got to let some pillows out so you can get your arm around it. But then some of those pillows are going to fall through. Like my daughter has a huge stuffed, those little squishmallow things. She has a ton of those. Y'all saw that shark she had the other day? And like she just has a ton of those. So you can wrap your arms around them, but some of those are going to fall through. And so I think that's what my understanding of testing the strength of RICO is that not everything is a RICO. Like she would almost do better, again, in my opinion, to just charge everybody individually or even small, but using that large RICO, because again, RICO gives you latitude to violate people's rights that you didn't have if you just charge them individually. And so that, in my opinion, is problematic. Perfect example is them not getting bond. That's a part of RICO. So those are some of the problems that come up. Like, but if you just charge this person with one crime, that is a bondable crime, right? Let's say he's throwing gerbils, okay? He's throwing gerbils, but he can get bond, $8 million bond. He can pay for that. But if he's in RICO, they don't get bond. So that's why the big push recently to get them bond. Like give these men bond. If you're gonna fumble and bumble this trial as bad as you are, at least give these men bond. That's it. So this is going to be a bananas case. I don't know if you've been watching. I don't know if you've been keeping track of it, but this week is going to probably be must-see TV because I hope Fani does come in. I really do hope she comes in. Please let her come in. But even if she doesn't, they're going to probably start with answering. And that's might be why she wrote this right now. So it didn't get caught up in the malaise yesterday, in all of the haze from response tsunami. Maybe that's why it was released today, is that it would be, because I think they're going to probably address this on Tuesday. This is going to probably be one of the first things they talk about on Tuesday, is whether or not Love and Hylton need to be disqualified. Because if they get disqualified, it's a wrap. There's no other reason. Like this thing now we're at the fifth deck. Okay, at the current moment, we're like the third deck, and they're still trying to pump water out. But if Love and Hylton get disqualified, the fifth deck of the ship is flooded. Just let it go. Release the life rafts. We got to get out of here. This is a great question. Like, oh my goodness. Why did she choose to do a RICO instead of just trying someone for murder? What's the benefit of Fani to try this as a RICO? Honestly, I don't know. Except it is extremely, extremely glamorous. I mean, think about it. If you just like, oh, John Smith is, on trial for murder. That does sound bad, but John Smith is ahead of a criminal enterprise, a RICO charges looming over his head. Like that sounds like some major deal. And it could be the exact same thing, a murder. But they're linking so many other things. Again, these men may very well be guilty. They may very well be guilty. But the fact that we will never know that they're guilty is not because they obscured facts or they lied or anything of that nature. It's because the prosecutors were poor and sorry. They were pitiful. Let's just tell the truth, shame the devil. Bird Dog says that RICO is trying to tie a lot of people to a crime or crimes by proving all of the people being charged were involved either in conspiracy or in the physical act, please forgive me, of committing crime or many crimes. There you go. So they try to get that whole loop around, and that's what she's trying to do. Yeah, I think this is gonna be some wild. This is gonna be wild. Save the gerbils, save them. Yeah, there's a lot of fame and fortune. I mean, there's a lot because again, Paul Howard and the DA in Fulton County, they're known for that Atlanta cheating scandal. Now, granted, there are other RICO cases that have happened before and after the Atlanta cheating, but everybody knows the Atlanta cheating because it was 160 something teachers, man. That's crazy. Teachers cheating, teachers going to jail, criminal organization teachers. Like that, those sentences just did not, those words should not be in the same sentence together. So that brought a lot of attention. So I think, my opinion, Fani wants that same kind of that same kind of like, yeah, she brought RICO against Young Thug. Yeah, she brought RICO against former President Trump, and this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, both of these cases are they're just dumpster fires, and they're extremely, extremely expensive. As somebody said, money. There's a lot of money involved in this. I believe, my name is Jason, that this is nothing more than a money transfer. There's a lot of money being spent, a lot of money that would not have been spent had Fani Willis not brought these RICO cases against these men. If she hadn't brought RICO against Trump, think about all that would not have happened. If she not brought RICO against Young Thug, think about all that would not have happened. And this is in other places as well. But I think these two are going to prove to be like, yeah, there was just a lot of money being spent. Because now she can just spend money and nobody acts, oh, because you're trying Trump, or oh, you're trying Young Thug. 27 people, 18 people. Oh my gosh. Just throw money here, back up the 18-wheeler and just dump the cash on her. Where's the money going? Is a money transfer? Is money laundering? Legal money laundering. So Black law student says she's trying to prove it's not individuals, it's organized crime. Okay, I agree. I think she's trying to prove it. I think the special word here is trying. I'm having a hard time believing that Woody is involved in anything that was organized. No, Woody was a bad dude. Woody was not a good, no, in my opinion, because I did a video. Like Woody is at one point, we watch YouTube, by the way, a fantastic content creator, has made a lot of the bumpers videos that I've been showing. Woody at one point was almost public enemy number one here in Georgia by the federal government, by the FBI. This is not just me saying this. It's not just the Atlanta Journal-Constitution saying this. By the FBI and the DEA and the ATF, he was like public enemy number one. I did a video like, this is your number one witness? So no, Woody is not. I think Woody was playing them on that stand and just he was playing off of the fact that they weren't ready for him. They were not ready for the amount of shenanigans that he was going to unleash on them. And he proved it. So I'm sorry. I think Woody's way more organized than we give him credit for. Okay, what does my four girls say? The going thing in the public eye is taking down a high profile person. Very good. The judge, ADA, DA trying to come up off of those men's backs. There you go. I've said this. I said this, and you would know it if this case if she had been winning this case. Do you think she would be writing this? No, she'd probably be having a presser, getting ready to do a end zone dance, But I think she's celebrating too early. I don't think she's celebrating at all. Oh yeah, everybody's agreeing, and we're all in agreement, Erica. My opinion could be that she's trying to go for a bigger position and trying to put her name out there. I agree. I agree 100%. Oh, and it is funny. It is funny, to add the little tinfoil to my hat. Kamala is going to be here in Atlanta on Tuesday. You think she's going to tap her to be her VP? I don't know. Crazier things have happened. Let's just say crazier, more banana things have happened. Okay. DEWC, don't you need time management qualities to be organized? I'm just asking for a friend. Hey, look. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not. After realizing that Woody was at one point again one of Georgia's most violent criminals. I'm not gonna say that guy was not. I think he was just finessing them. I think he just finessed them. They were not ready. They thought, oh yeah, this guy, he speaks broken English. He's from Mechanicsville. He doesn't sound very intelligent. And I think they just assume because they got multiple letters after their name that they're able to outsmart this man. This man, they weren't ready for him. Sorry. Secret Service got outsmarted by a 20-year-old. Wow. And Fani Willis got outsmarted by Woody. I'm over 2024. Yeah, 2024 needs to go home. Just go home 2024. Have a rest. Have a rest. I mean, you're right. Now, granted, let's also, like, there's some similarity. Like, they had some Secret Service agents that didn't need to be there, or people in the role of Secret Service agent that didn't need to be there. Yikes. See, I think a lot of people agree this. Shortcakes ain't got no loyalty. She's auditioning for a job in Harris cabinet. I can see that. I can totally see that. I can totally see it. Oh my gosh. Yo, y'all are wild. Moderators, can we go ahead and put retired in 0-second timeout? You put him in timeout right now. I can't even believe you. I'm embarrassed. Retired. Shame on you. Shame on you. Let me mute my microphone so I can laugh at that though. Kamala, Erica says, is a joke from California, and she does not think of herself as Black and was a terrible attorney general and put away lots of Black men. Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but this is my show. I have no problem with it. So this now we can go and talk about politics. I don't actually care how poor of a Attorney General Kamala Harris was. I don't care how bad of a senator she was. I just want people to tell me, what has she done in the last 48 months that justifies you willing to vote for her? What is it? What has she done? What is the evidence that she is going to make America a better place? What is it? What has she done? Now, people want to get lost in the weeds and say, well, because she doesn't do a lot because she was supporting Joe Biden's policies. Okay, well, which one of his policies is her shining marquee motion? Are you trying to tell me that she was fighting against all of Joe Biden's policies? Is that what you want me to believe? Because it's not true. She was supporting Joe Biden's policies. So which one of those, whether it be Joe's or hers, which one is the one that you say, that's what she did, it was great? Because I don't think you could do this on your job. I'm a small business owner. I own a podcast studio, so I don't get a promotion per se. But I'm pretty sure that if you work a job where you have an evaluation from your employer, and if your employer said, hey, what did you do? Every year, like you get your yearly review, right? He said, hey, what did you do last year should justify me keeping you on, giving you a promotion and an increase in salary. And you say, I was upholding everybody else's mission and vision. Is that what you're going to do? I'm sorry. I have no idea what I want people to explain it to me. Erica says, I can't believe people are not really looking her up and only voting on her because she person of color. She identifies as Indian. Oh, I got it right here. I got the picture right here. I call it the blackification of Kamala Harris. Like everybody's trying to turn her into a Black woman. And I mean, I got no problem with it. She wants to be an Indian woman. She's an Indian woman. Well, actually, she is an Indian woman. It's not even me saying that. She is an Indian woman. So just go ahead and that's fine. Just be an Indian woman. You don't have to try to make her something that she's not. And I don't understand why we do that. And this is the highly melanated people that do that quite a bit. I'm like, why do we do that? All right, let me real quick, because we just causing trouble tonight. Let me see. It is not moving me out of the way to show you. So this is what we'll do. All right, let me just pull it in like this. Every now and then we gotta try something different. I was trying something different and it let me down. Okay, there we go. And this is from the Associated Press. In 2016, California Kamala Harris becomes the first Indian American U.S. Senator. And then, of course, Biden picks Kamala Harris as his running mate, the first Black woman. What happened? What changed? The blackification of Kamala Harris needs to stop. I don't know, Miss Sparkling Plans, my Sparkling Plans. I would like to know what is your rationale for voting for Kamala? She's never won a presidential primary. Nobody actually wanted her. No Democrat actually wanted her. So what is your actual rationale for hiring her? That's all. So we won't do the whataboutisms, because you know what? Here we go. Here you go. I'm going to answer your question. The alternative is to vote for Donald Trump. Now, I want you to tell me why you're voting for Kamala Harris. There you go. That's it. I'll be here all weekend, so please feel free whenever. Yeah, let her be who she wants to be. I mean, if y'all want me to believe she cooks neck bones and collard greens, okay. If that's what you want me to believe, y'all know she don't. Y'all know she don't. She probably cook a mean masala, but she is not cooking no neck bones and collard greens. Stop lying. Stop it. But that's y'all. That's y'all. Y'all the ones buying into the lie. The woman was clearly saying that she's. You know what? Hold on. Because y'all think I'm making that up. Y'all think so. Y'all. No, not a problem. So why are you voting for Kamala? That's all. I'm just going to keep asking the question. Like, you can give me the lesser two evil argument. I've heard that before. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's not a principle that I think we should stand on. But again, why are you voting for Kamala? That's all. Okay, I'm going to pull this in because, again, people think I'm making this up. Hopefully I did this right. Let's see if I did it right. I might not add. So there's always that, Jason. Let's see if I did this right.
Becoming the first Indian American woman to be nominated as a vice presidential candidate in America.
I stand before you as the first candidate for vice president of the United States of South Asian descent. When my mother, Shamala, stepped off the plane in California at 19 years old, she didn't have much in the way of belongings. But she carried with her lessons from back home. Growing up, my mother would take my sister, Maya, and me back to what was then called Madras, because she wanted us to understand where she had come.
All right. It was just a little clip, little snippet I found, but she's saying that she's Asian, of Pacific Asian descent. Why y'all bending over backwards to make her black? Why y'all doing that? But even more than that, how about instead of getting lost in the haze of her ethnicity, which in my opinion is not a good look, don't worry about her ethnicity. What is her policies? What is her actual plan? Stand on that, because she has a ferocious appetite for baby deletion. She has a ferocious appetite for baby deletion, and she herself has never carried a child to term, which is that should be problematic to every mother. My name is Jason Deerwoksy@gmail.com. That should be problematic to you. You should be like, wait, why is it that people that don't have kids want us to delete our kids? Like, why is that? Just wondering. Okay, so let me see real quick. I'm a little behind, but your RICO pillow analogy, your arms are the law. You can only hold so much within the law, but also your case can fall apart if you don't fill the circle of come on. I knew my analogy was great. I just made that up though. Thank you so much, Filipina. Philippia, please forgive me. No, that was a great example. And yeah, I just feel like she's just trying to put her arms around too much, and she could probably get a lot more steam severing this, maybe 2 or 3 people together, but this whole giant organization, I think is problematic. And I don't know what the end goal is. I don't know what the end goal would be. So now that's a great example. Thank you so much. I might need to put a little star by that and hold on to that for later. Just saying. You might hear it. If you hear it again, just know that I'm giving you a hat tip, okay? I appreciate it. No, as far as I know, Kamala does not have her own child. That's her husband's daughter. That's her stepdaughter. Kamala has never had a child that I know of. And please feel free to let me know if I'm wrong. But the young lady that's bopping around now, that's her husband's daughter, not hers. What's going on, Discernment Files? Thank you so much for stopping by. What's going on, Restoring Hero Project? What's happening, my friend? Grace and peace. Good to see you, sir. Oh, no, they have well past normalized it. Discernment Files says they're trying to normalize blasphemy and abominations. No, they've already jumped that shark. That shark is well jumped. Right, that's her stepdaughter. Right, that's her stepdaughter. It's not. Do you think, we watch you too, do you think the comment by J.D. Vance said about Kamala being a cat lady was inappropriate? Do you think anyone is actually offended with that comment? Okay, I don't remember exactly what J.D. Vance said. I've said this before. I don't think we should name call. I mean, we can have banter, okay? We can have banter. I was on James' show from Restoring Hero Project the other day, and we had Friday night, Thursday. Was it Friday? It was Thursday. And we had banter back and forth. But I don't think we should call names. I do think we should try our best to step above that. And I don't think that, saying that somebody is ignorant lends itself to us being able to get our messaging out there. Now, do I believe that if Kamala wasn't selected to be a senator of California, she probably would still be in California, and maybe she would be cat lady. We've all said it, though. We all say it, and we all believe it. We know people that are crazy cat ladies or crazy cat men. So we've known this. So I don't think we should clutch our pearls and pretend like, oh, I would never say that, because I know I would. I know I've said it. That being the case, however, I do think that our elected officials should try to step it above. I wish they would. I wish J.D. Vance and Trump would just ignore Kamala and just keep hammering their policies, which I believe are way better. But when you get into the fray of name calling and emotionalism, you end up losing people's argument because you get caught up in stuff like this. So I don't disagree with him. I disagree that he said it, and that's all. What is going on? Willie Doc in the building. I'm ready to see Willie Doc. He says, if Kamala wins nomination, does Abrams resurface? Oh my gosh, yes. You're going to see her Tuesday. As sure as my name is Jason, you're going to see Stacey Abrams somewhere around Kamala on Tuesday. Kamala's supposed to come here to Atlanta. I guarantee you, Stacey Abrams is going to be there. Hands down. Winning the election, nomination, whatever. She's going to be there, and she's going to probably speak at the DNC. What does Benny Parker say? I'm ready to see Van Jones crying election night. Van Jones, stay crying. Such an embarrassment for men. Such an embarrassment. Out here crying for politicians. Come on, my goodness gracious. All right. Lots of good commentary. I love conversation back and forth. Oh my gosh, would that be epic? Harris Willis ticket, please. That would be epic. Because clearly you don't have to be successful. So, or have like a record. That would be wild. That'd be wild. I think it'd be amazing. Yeah, Discernment Files and I are probably on the same page. Like, I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm not saying that other people don't do it, but I think some elected officials should be mindful that if I say this and call somebody this name, I might think it. Everybody in the audience might think it. Everybody watching TV might think it. But if I say it, it's going to cause more drama than it's going to solve. And in my opinion, that's what's going on. Hmm. No, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna probably work that out behind the scenes. Costa Chameleon. Costa Chameleon says it's going to be a death match 2000 between Abrams and Willis for a spot in the Harris administration. I think there could be no other choice that's less popular than to have Abrams or Willis as a VP or a notable face in the Harris campaign. There's nobody else. I mean, there's no way to make it less popular. Oh my gosh. And so what Bird Dog says, basically, JD Vance basically said that these politicians have no children to worry about in the future, so they really have no skin in the game. Yet they make the rules we must play by, live by. If he had just said that, I'd have no problem with it. Now we could translate that, Bird Dog, into you just some crazy cat woman, because I do think it's interesting. I find it extremely adorable that like Oprah Winfrey has such a strong stance on abortion. She herself has never had a child. Gayle King, same thing. AOC, absolutely same thing. There's so many of them. Cori Bush has children, but she's in a pretend marriage right now. But there's so many of them. Like, wait, why? And why does it happen to be women that are highly melanated, that have a high melanin concentration, that are encouraging other women of high melanin to destroy their children? That's crazy. That's bananas. Oh, Warnock is going to be VP. Though I think you're joking, and I see the LOL, I'm trying to think like, why would that not work? And I think it would not work for a couple of reasons. They're both not likable. They're only likable in their little fiefdoms. So Kamala's not likable in the DNC, and Warnock is not likable outside Georgia. So he's not going to carry. He's not likable enough to carry Georgia. So they would lose this state hands down. Yeah, she would have to pick a vice president that is more likable than she is, and more successful than she is. Oh, yeah. So you're right there with me. Reds Jack. Fani would be Kamala's downfall. Folks looking at Fani with side eye. Right. Especially now. Like it's gonna be a very bad look. Moloch worship. Absolutely, James. I know what you're talking about. VP may be Obama. The only reason I think this would be a bad idea. Hey, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. The only reason I would say this is a really bad idea is multi-layered. But all you gotta do is go to any inner city elementary school. It's more than likely has a principal and assistant principal who are both Black women, and show them how it's run. That'll absolutely run you away from this ticket. But then also you would have two people, a president and a vice president, who've done absolutely zero politically. What would be your rationale for, as I already asked, what's your rationale for voting for Kamala Harris? And then the next question would be, what is your rationale besides gravitas, besides star power? What are you voting for Michelle Obama for? What are you voting for? I'm here to cause trouble. DearWokeSee@gmail.com. Thank y'all so much. These are some great questions. Oh my gosh. Roland Martin. That's your boy though. Black law student. Don't be trying to disown your brother. That's your brother. I said the same thing. Can Obama run as VP? I think they're talking about I actually don't know if he could run. I was thinking about Michelle. I'm sorry. I was thinking about Michelle. if he could run, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. That's a great question. Okay, I just immediately thought y'all were talking about Michelle. I apologize. That's a great question. I don't know. What does Jack say? Saw Twitter rumblings there. Senator from Arizona, the astronaut, was a top contender for VP. Arizona. Okay. Okay. Okay, interesting. But if Harris had to step down, Obama could not become president because it would be his third term. Okay, there we go. I guess there we go. No, I think I'm sorry, Jax. I think they're involved way more than we realize. No, I think they're very, very involved in it. This rascal said we're going to have 2 space cadets. Y'all put James in 0-second timeout. Why are you like that, James? Why are you like that, brother? Why? Why are you like that? No, but that's a very interesting idea. I don't think Obama can run again. I mean, be vice president. I think, as Costa Chameleon just pointed out, he would be it would be his third term. I don't think he can do that. But again, we're making a lot of assumptions before we get that far. All right, what we got right here? Thank you. 4 more likes. Yo, we got a whole bunch of people. We got almost 130 people watching on my end. I appreciate all of y'all. I thank y'all for hanging out with me. It does mean a lot that you spending your Saturday afternoon with me. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying this type of content. If you do like it, hit the like button. Join the best live chat on the planet. I appreciate it. What are we saying here? We will have 2 space cadets in you. Wow. Last I heard is between Buttigieg and I know you're talking about, and Kelly. Really? She's got to get somebody that really likes her. She's gonna have to. She's got to get somebody that the people really like. Because policy-wise, I mean, just think about it. Just think about it. Close your eyes and think about Kamala Harris negotiating with Putin. And every time somebody pushes back, they just say, "Oh, that Jong Kim is racist. Putin is sexist." That's all they're going to use as their deflection, because that's what they're using now with Trump. So you're going to tell me that they're not going to? The reason they didn't stand for me at the UN is because I'm a woman, a black woman, or this, that, and the other. Because that's their only defense. I'm sorry, it's going to be a mess watching her negotiate with Putin. Again, that's going to be that optic alone should cause you to shudder in fear. Well, thank you so much, Shamika. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. She said, we love the channel. DWC, we like the authentic content. Thank you very, very much. What does Becky say? Becky said, what did Becky say? Becky said, I think Brock has been calling a lot of shots. Oh, hands down. Hands down. Oh my gosh, yes. A lot of people being hesitant because polls still have Trump winning by a smaller margin. If you want me to believe, and I've said this before, I've never been polled. I've never been polled. I've never been asked, any of that kind of stuff. I have no idea who these people are polling. None whatsoever. If you really want me to believe that the same media that told me that Joe Biden was in perfect health, the paramount of health, just literally 3 weeks ago, is telling me the truth about polls with the most unpopular senator ever. She's never won a presidential primary ever. She was less popular than Biden was, and he was in bad shape. You want me to believe that she is neck and neck or within striking distance of Donald J. Trump? Okay. I guess I believe you. I totally believe y'all. Now, the debates are going to be crazy. I don't care what they say. Unless I hear Trump say he don't want to debate Kamala, I don't believe anybody saying that he don't want to debate her. I would debate Kamala. I don't even know what we talk about. I would debate her. She can come to Atlanta. We can run it. We can run it on Tuesday. I promise you. Oh, you don't want the forward-facing roles. Okay. And now that I can agree with. Yeah, Kamala had a meeting at the State Department Wednesday and said anyone who is pro-Israel can pack their bags because I won't have anyone in my administration that's pro-Israel. Wow. Yikes. And she wants to be president, y'all. Come on, man. Wow. I might have to find that one. My goal was to do a Kamala, a deep dive into her success record. And let me just tell you right now, that video got real short. That video got real short. Yeah. So, but everybody, I want to thank you again. I really do appreciate it. We started this off by looking at Fani Willis's response to the motion to recuse her ADA, Love and ADA Hylton. I think that was a good motion. She wrote a response and it left a lot to be desired, lots to be desired. I hate to say it. She left a lot to be desired in that regard, but it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of what we expect. And then we just started talking about a little bit of politics, have a little bit of fun. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody wanted to come on and talk about this. Okay, but let's see what we got here. Dear woke Christian, not to change the subject at all, but did you see the Olympic opening? I've seen clips of it, and so I'm not a big fan of the Olympics. I don't. I remember, of course, when the Olympics were about the celebration of, man's achievement, blah blah blah. But I haven't watched the Olympics since probably and been like really involved in it, probably since the Olympics were here in Atlanta. Okay. And so every year there's just so much foolishness around it. And in my opinion, and you know what else really ruined it for me? I watched the documentary of cities that have hosted the Olympics and how they all have what happened after the fact. And it was really telling, like, man, having the Olympics is not a blessing. Now, granted, I think Atlanta is an outlier, but there are many cities in what would basically be almost third world countries that have hosted the Olympics, and it has been a blight on them. So I've never really been that excited about the Olympics. If something's on, I'll poke my head in, but I'm not a big TV watcher like that. That being the case, I did see what was considered the opening ceremony. At what point, I think there has to be a point where people stop saying like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that pagans are paganing. Oh my gosh, pagans are paganing. I can't believe it. Stop clutching our pearls. This is what they do. This is what unbelievers in Christ do. So are we supposed to be surprised and shocked? No, this is what they do. So maybe, just maybe, I'm not one of those advocates that say everybody should protest something and get out like that. But maybe we should stop supporting this stuff. Just maybe. Do your own genuflecting, do your own consideration. Maybe we should stop supporting these things because they don't. There's no way you're going to make me believe that what they did yesterday or whenever that was at the opening ceremonies, that was just like happenstance, that it was that perverted, that it was that wicked. I'm sorry. I think we should stop making excuses for it and just call evil evil and stop participating in it. We don't have to go live in a hovel, but you don't have to watch it either. And too many people, in my opinion, they don't have a good rationale for it. So they try to, oh, it was just a mistake. It just so happened. That wasn't really what they meant. Okay, whatever. Whatever. At this point, I'm just like, we're just saying this now. We're just trying to excuse bad behavior when in actuality, we should just excuse ourselves from it. That's all. So no, I didn't watch the opening, but I did see some pretty messed up pics of it, and it's pretty messed up. Well, thank you, Lola Waters. I appreciate you. Making Atlanta okay again. Mayaka. That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you should do some deep dives. This is very interesting. Do some deep dives into cities that have hosted the Olympics. It is really interesting. They don't they're not. And I think the only saving grace is that Atlanta has a lot of colleges right here because we have the Olympic Stadium Centennial. I'm sorry, Olympic Stadium became the Atlanta Braves Stadium for many, many years. And then Atlanta Braves moved to Cobb County. And just so happened, not just so happened, but Georgia State University really wanted to up its athletic program. And it just so happened to work out, in my opinion, that they took over that stadium. And apparently they're doing really well. They're having a great time. And prayerfully, they'll continue to do great. But I don't think other cities have had those same testimonies. There's a lot of them abroad and such like that have not done well, especially Winter Olympics. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Yeah, check out, do a deep dive into just you do YouTube search. I have to find it, but it was a really interesting documentary about cities that have hosted the Olympics. They don't do well, and because there's a lot of politicking that goes on even before you get to be the host city. So when they're gambling and bidding to become the host city, they got to pour a lot of money in just to become a runner up to become a host city. I'm sorry, to be considered to be a host city. So imagine if Jasonville is kind of broke already and I'm trying to host the Olympics. I'm robbing Peter and Paul and everybody else to try to build my infrastructure up so I can maybe be considered to be a host city, but I didn't be doing that money with some other things. And it is very wild. So yeah, I'm not a big supporter of the Olympics. And then lastly, I think in the day and age that we're in right now, I think the Olympics have outwore their welcome. It doesn't need to be something that goes on forever. I would be perfectly fine. Again, I'm not a supporter of it, so I don't watch it. I don't care. If they just say, you know what, no more Olympics, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Yeah, the paganism is more out in the open, but this is my only question though. It's always been like this. Now, granted, it's much more overt, but we can rewind back to the 80s. We were watching it during award shows back then. Why are we clutching our pearls now? We've seen it. Like, just stop participating. You don't have to watch it. Just stop. If people who profess to be Christian stop supporting these depraved actions, there would be a serious problem. I'm telling you. And I'll use my example. I've used it before. If y'all Christians stop supporting Disney, Disney would stop a lot of its foolishness. A lot of it. But again, I don't care about the House of Mouse. I want to be one of the second people there to cheer it on when they lock the gates. If y'all stop supporting them, they would rely. Now, granted, I'm sure they would still continue on. Not saying that they would close down indefinitely. But what I am saying is that y'all don't have to support them. We elevate entertainment almost to a place of veneration and worship. We must be entertained. So if you don't go to Disney, what are you going to do to be entertained? If you don't watch this movie, what are you going to do to be entertained? We don't have to, though. You don't have to. Just saying. DearWokesy@gmail.com. Rio de Janeiro, that was one I remember Jimmy Ward. It did not do well. They very rarely recover the expenses. I mean, there's a lot of money. I mean, just to get ready for the Olympics, just to be considered, you got to do so much in order to just get your city ready to be considered. Atlanta did. They ain't just fill out an application and say, hey, we want to be the whole city. I mean, they did a lot. I mean, they changed roads. They brought in they did a lot. And I will say, I think, again, Atlanta, if you looked at a diagram, I'm pretty sure Atlanta fared way better than Rio de Janeiro or other international cities that hosted the Olympics. I mean, I think we have a couple things in our favor, which was, again, the interstate system and the airport. I think those two things right there, and how close the airport is to where everything was going on during the Olympics back in '96. So I don't, I'm not going to lose any sleep if they decide, you know what, we're not going to do any more Olympics ever again. I think it's already, the point has been made, it's done, in my opinion. Was it China? I thought there was one that looked at like several cities. Now I got to look it up. I got to look it up. But it's just normal operating procedure. I think if you're talking about the Olympics, I got you. I'm not mad that you have to spend that much money. It's just they never recoup it. It never comes back. So like a Rio de Janeiro or a maybe a less affluent city that's trying to get the Olympics and they put all this money into it and they don't get picked, well, that money will never come back. They'll never recoup that cost that they put out to be selected as a host city. Yeah. And I think now another thing is Atlanta, they spread out so many of those events. Those events were everywhere in the metro Atlanta area. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the equestrian events they weren't anywhere near Atlanta. Okay, they were so far out of pocket. The rowing was at Lake Lanier, which is not Atlanta. Okay, just newsflash, it's not Atlanta. They spread those activities out all over the place, so they weren't just downtown. So I think that might have also helped because those things that are like I think the horse park, if I have to look it up, the Atlanta Equestrian Park is something else now. And it was able to be reused, is what I'm trying to say, is repurposed. Unlike some things that are just made, like especially for the Winter Olympics, they're making these big jumps and they're making these things that are specific for winter activities and they never actually get used again. All right. All right, lots of okay, I'm seeing lots of good conversation back for what is Paris doing? Now, Paris has a huge expense to repair their railways and damage from the fires. Yeah, and that was the other thing in my mind. That's why I say like the Olympics that's something for the 2020s. It's done. Because now going in here, you're just putting people in way, in impossible harm's way for just because of the games. I mean, whatever happened with the railway system, I mean, it just seems like the possibility of something going south because we can't pretend like we're safe out there like that. That's not true. So the idea and the notion of just doing this to do it, there's no real value in it. There's nothing that happens that benefits anybody else. Your city's going to probably suffer financially for many, many, many years afterwards. And you might have a terrorist attack as Centennial Olympic Park. Hey, what's going on, April? Good to see you. Grace and peace, sister. Grace and peace. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Yeah, they had events all over Atlanta. And again, I think that might have been good. That could have been bad, however you want to parse it out. They spread those events all over. They spread that all over the place. And I do think that allowed, and there wasn't a lot of thumb on the scale, if you will. So if you were a small business owner and there was a particular event in your area, I don't believe that they really impeded you from being a participant and being able to get some of that, some of that tourist money that comes in from that. So I think that was kind of cool, if I remember it correctly. But again, I don't think the Olympics are necessary. You'll never hear me complain. If you ever hear me say, look, I'm rushing to go watch the Olympics or something, trust me, that's probably a sign that I've been kidnapped. There was something in Birmingham. Absolutely. And if you know Birmingham, did you say Birmingham, Georgia? No, Birmingham, Alabama, 2 hours away. So that's not, now granted, it's a straight shot. It's an easy 2 hours. It's the easiest 2 hour drive you're ever going to do. But again, yeah, there you go. The equestrian events were out in Conyers. They spread them things all over Georgia, all over Georgia. So, but April said that the tennis courts in Stone Mountain never got used after the Olympics. I thought they became a soccer field. Not trying to be funny. I think it's a semi-pro soccer field. I could be wrong. But I mean, again, the point is a lot of this stuff doesn't get reused. It doesn't get repurposed. But also the monies that are spent to build it and the infrastructure put in place to support it don't get reused, and you don't recoup that money. Good to see good people, good people. Chicago did host the Winter Games. You're right. And people were surprised that there are no mountains in Chicago, and people had to go to the middle of Wisconsin. Sure did. Yeah, Brazil has a live sewer that runs just between buildings. And again, like, is the Olympics necessary? I don't think so. Oh, April said, never mind. She said it's got weeds growing on it. Okay, never mind. I know you live out in those parts, so I trust you. I trust you. But so yeah, I don't. So the opening ceremony does not get my attention at all. I don't care anything about the Olympics. Again, I think it's well over its shelf life. But I think that's one of the things. There are events that we do as Americans that we could stop doing. We don't need to do that. Why are we doing that? And I'm sorry. I think the Olympics have outworn their welcome. It's okay to say, yeah, the Olympics were good. We did those in the early 1900s, the 2000s. Yeah, but in 2020 we decided to stop. And the last one was 2024. And just let it go. It's okay. There's not one thing that's benefited from it, in my opinion. Yeah, like where are the amateur athletes? No, there's no reason for it. And in my opinion, you can't convince me that you're concerned about all of these quote unquote global issues, and in the midst of that, we're going to do a 45 quadrillion expense Olympic Games series in a country that could really use that money in another direction. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not that interested in it. So yeah, I'll never, if you ever hear me say I'm rushing to go watch the Olympics, is a true sign to send help. That's my help. I need somebody. I'm being kidnapped or whatever. I don't even know what that was. A scandal with the gymnast. I don't want to go back to 1978. I was only 4. So I'm gonna pass on that. But I appreciate where we are right now. So, but everybody, I want to thank y'all very much for hanging out with me. Again, we looked at the Fani Willis response to the ask to remove DA Love and DA Hylton. I think that's a really interesting case. The link is down in the description as well. I'll try to put it in the comment section for y'all as also. But then also we start talking a little bit about politics. You know, what's going to happen with Kamala? She's coming to Atlanta on Tuesday. I think that's going to be interesting since the YSL case starts back up on Tuesday. What do you know? What do you think is going to happen? You think something's going to happen? And then we kind of got lost in the weeds talking about the Olympics and all the shenanigans that are going on there, and all the shenanigans that are going on there. And I think it's just an interesting time. But as I like to tell people, we don't have to fear. We don't have to hand wring. We don't have to be woe is me, because Christ is still Lord. And as long as Jesus Christ is Lord over all of this stuff, I'm good. So I don't care if Kamala becomes president. I'm just gonna have more time to laugh about it. If Trump is gonna be president, I'm just gonna laugh and have cheaper gas prices. So, but at the end of the day, Christ, as long as my King still rules and reigns, I'm good. I'm good. And you could be good too. So please do not get into despair. Do not start fighting with your neighbors and doing all this stuff, because at the end of the day, none of that matters as long as Christ is King. So everybody, thank you again for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Let's get ready to do this again. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. We're going to do a deep discussion into Kamala Harris. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with you all tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all so much. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace. We're out.